Greetings, everyone, and welcome. August the 12th, 2025, 8:15 p.m. here in Ukraine. And as you can see by the thumbnail and the title of this update, I do have some confirmed breaking news for you in regard to the Putin plan that will be presented to Trump in Alaska. Ukraine has confirmed these talking points in multiple sources that I trust. In addition to that, we've also got President Zelenskyy making some statements that are very bold about that summit meeting that is upcoming on Friday. And the big news on the military front is the Russian breakthrough in the Pokrovsk, Dobropilia, Konstantinivka area. I want to give you just a little bit of clarity on that and understanding because this is potentially a considerable problem for Ukraine, although they are reinforcing, as I'm recording this right now, Ukraine defending as hard as they possibly can, and we'll get to that in just a moment. Let's start with the Putin plan. This is confirmed. This is what we're expecting for him to offer Trump. Withdrawal of the armed forces of Ukraine from Donbass. What that means is Ukraine would have to withdraw completely from Lugansk, where they have just a little sliver, and also Donetsk, which is a large swath of territory right now that includes that Kramatorsk, Slavyansk. In fact, let me do this right here. This Putin plan he's talking about is Ukraine would have to fully withdraw from these two regions completely, which is Lugansk and Donetsk. And you can see we're talking, what, about 20% of that territory right here? This is where the front collapse that is being talked about also is happening now, and we'll look at that closer in just a moment. But that is what Putin is putting on the table. In addition to that, he is going to offer the withdrawal of the Russian armed forces from Sumy, where they have an extremely small footprint. Dnepropetrovsk, they are controlling basically one village. In Kharkiv, which they do have a decent amount of territory. We'll look at that as well. But if we're looking at the map, basically, Putin is saying that Russia will withdraw from here, 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 and there. Literally, that's what we're talking about. Those key areas. And this, of course, is the Sumy Oblast, the Kharkiv Oblast, and the Dnepropetrovsk little spot right there. So this is what we're hearing. This is what we expected. Additionally, he also talks about that the front lines he's going to offer would be frozen everywhere else. No withdrawals, none of that. And that would just mean that everything from here down would stay the same. And basically, this is what you would be looking at. Now, what is important to understand here is also the Zaporizhia nuclear power plant, the largest in Europe, which is Ukrainian, is in this occupied territory, which would mean that Russia is basically doing what they're already doing and stealing the nuclear power plant. I can tell you, I was in meetings today. Eugenia and I are preparing for Frontline aid drops, and we want to thank you for your graciousness and your generosity in helping us to help the front lines. And we'll be dropping in all of these areas that I just talked about, Sumy and Donetsk and Kharkiv, and then Kherson, all these areas. But every soldier I spoke to, I said, what are your thoughts on this? And these were commander levels, high commander levels. And they says, we're not giving our territory away. They can go talk and have fish in Alaska, eat salmon. We're not giving our territory away. The other key things that we're learning about the Putin plan is Ukraine's commitment not to join NATO and demilitarization of Ukraine and constitutional reform towards a federal structure, meaning no army. And Ukraine right now has the strongest army in Europe, the most technologically advanced army in Europe with drone warfare, and not only demilitarized, but a federal system, which means you're basically going to become a proxy state of Russia. Not going to happen, guys. And then finally, Russia wants to conclude a bilateral agreement with the USA without the participation of Ukraine and the European Union. Now, we do have Zelenskyy responding today. These are actual quotes. He says Ukraine has already endured this war for independence. We need a little more time so that we are not broken. He then made a direct quote and statement about the upcoming summit. He said, the conversation between the United States president and Putin, he didn't call him President Putin, between the US president and Putin may be important for their bilateral track. Arctic, doing business, whatever else you're going to talk about, your golden rooms in the Kremlin and the White House, I don't know. But, he said, they cannot make any decisions about Ukraine without us. I believe and hope that the United States president understands and realizes this. I think that's a very pointed and direct statement coming back from Zelenskyy, because yesterday in Trump's press conference, he threw a little strong shade at Zelenskyy, and we can see that attitude towards Zelenskyy start to shift a little bit back to the way it was earlier before he seemingly warmed up over the last few weeks, and we're seeing a potential shift happening. So Zelenskyy putting it right back there on him. So those are the official places that we're at, confirmed by Ukraine. Direct quote from President Zelenskyy. Now, the other big news is the Eastern Front. And if you're watching anything on Twitter or social media or YouTube, you're seeing guys putting out updates, and you're seeing all these arrows drawn around, and Ukraine's getting ready to collapse. And here comes Russia. They're going to take 200 kilometers in a day. This is going to be another Avdiivka. Let me make it simple for you. And I want to go back to the map so that we understand this. Let me erase this, and then I'm going to zoom in here for you guys, because this is what you're hearing. And I'm going to tell you the absolute 100% truth here. Let me get it in the screen there, good for you. Okay, here's the deal. Russia has made some pointed advances this way. That is north of Pokrovsk. Pokrovsk is here, and Mirnograd is here, and you're seeing this horseshoe encirclement. Okay, this northern push is not a massive amount of soldiers, but Russia is moving in small groups, taking a place, losing soldiers, pushing another swath through, taking that ground, and moving in these remote areas, coming through, taking over some homes, some Ukrainian former positions, and they're getting access to the northern side of Dobropilya and just to the west of BLUESKY, which is here. Now, what is so important about this? Well, A, is it bad? Of course it is. B, the most important thing to understand here is not the amount of soldiers that Russia is getting here, but their ability to cut supply lines. What they're trying to do, and they've already got coverage on it, is cutting the supply line to come back into Konstantinivka this way, or to go up towards Kramatorsk that way. So this is the key point here. They're going after these logistical routes, and they are having some success. Additionally, they're getting cover and fire over the southern route down through Rodinsky for Ukraine to supply Pokrovsk. This is why we watch this, and I don't want to minimize it, but this is not, as of now, an Avdiivka moment, but it is a critical moment where they have pushed through, and instead of a mass of soldiers being the problem, the logistics are the problem, and that can potentially create a very serious situation in the days to come. But, and I don't want to live on hopium here, I just want to give you facts. Ukraine is responding with a massive amount, and I can tell you, it's public knowledge, Azov is coming. and I think it's the first. They're coming in to push this back. So what we're going to be watching, and I will be updating you guys. We work in all of these areas. My friends are there fighting, and if they're my friends, they're your friends. But we will be watching this very closely. I'll take this off and put it back. This is what we need to key on right here. We need that pushed back. That's just the bottom line. And right now, this is what we have. So hopefully that brings some understanding. Supply lines, logistics, and Ukraine pushing in to defend and push back. It is a critical juncture. The next 48 to 72 hours will be very telling, and I will be updating you all along the way with the facts. And this is the facts of the situation there in Pokrovsk, in Mirnograd, in Dobropilia, and Konstantinivka, and Kramatorsk. So thank you guys for being here. Thank you for all that you do. We appreciate each and every one of you. A lot of big meetings today in preparation for the aid that we will be dropping in the coming weeks. You guys be blessed. Make sure that notification bell is on because we can update, especially with critical situations on the map like this or this upcoming Alaska mess. We can have a video or a live at any time. Thank you for being here, and thank you for all that you do.